Yes, it's the last CEO blog for 2019. John, it's been a busy year, something for everyone.
It certainly has. As we reflect, I think the toughest thing that we've seen is the drought. It's certainly impacted, and it's now starting to take its toll. So hopefully in 2020, that matter will be resolved. Of course, Harness Racing New South Wales and our participants can't resolve it, but it's certainly weighing down on everything from race clubs to certainly trainers, owners, breeders, and we look forward to a change in 2020.
Boxing Night Bathurst, terrific night, great crowd, great weather. Shirley Turnbull, Alta Orlando won it. There was plenty of talk about the race leading up to it. Can you tell us what transpired with the field selection, etc.?
Well, what really happened there was an interpretation of the conditions. Some of the connections thought that the field was incorrectly drawn. They thought it should have been drawn on ratings points, whereas it was drawn on dollars last five. So a correct decision was reached in that the couple of horses that missed out, and those two horses, you've got to give them credit, Conviction and Our Uncle Sam, did go to New Zealand and represent New South Wales in an Inter-Dominion Championship, which is the holy grail of harness racing. So it was worked out that they got into the race. Nobody that was in the race already was adversely affected. We had a great race. It was a field that anyone would be envious of. We talk about the Inter-Dominion in 2019 in New Zealand. Well, we'll have an Inter-Dominion in 2020 here in New South Wales, and that's the sort of field that we'd like to see assembled. So it's passed now. We have a fantastic winner. All credit to Craig Cross and Luke McCarthy and the owners of Alta Orlando. He actually moved from barrier 7 to barrier 8 in that final. A little bit affected. However, he still won the race. So let's move on.
The night itself was terrific. Plenty of money given away. The club did a great job.
Oh, fantastic. The crowd was wonderful. There were a few moments there when that smoke drifted in about race 4. It got quite thick, but what it showed is that there was no ill effect to any of the horses that raced on the night that we know of. We didn't see it on the night. The horsemen and women were prepared to go ahead with the race meeting, so it's a bit of a benchmark that we can move forward with.
And unfortunately, we saw Tiger Tara for the last time. He's been retired. He's been a great horse.
And very disappointing. And my condolences also go out to Kevin. He lost a really good mate in Jimmy Stanford only a couple of days before. So he was a little bit down. It didn't get better with Tiger running his last race. He's been a champion, like the reigning New South Wales Horse of the Year, an Inter-Dominion winner, and all the other races he won. He brought great thrills to Kevin and the team, and he'll go on. Very well bred. He could be a stallion in the future.
Absolutely. Intercity Pace final night. Cameron Hart would win on anything at the moment.
Oh, what a drive. I sat in the grandstand to watch that race at Maitland, and it was a very strong crowd there. There weren't too many spare seats, but when Cameron pulled out with a lap to go and he just eased that horse up round the outside, most of the crowd, whilst they were cheering for him, couldn't see him winning the race, but he won it. It's just the patience, the ability of Cameron Hart to get the best out of a horse, and without overexerting the horse. That's the amazing part. He knows what he's got underneath him. But to Trevor Munday and his group of owners, to Tukey, the media manager of Bennelong Valley, well done.
A premiership for Tukes, Parramatta man himself, clubman for the Eels, never seen a premiership, so I guess this is just as good.
Oh, well, it's the end of 2019, but the start of 2020 when the Eels take out the premiership.
Parks, before we finish 2019, have 8 races.
Yes, they certainly do, and that's the last meeting of the year. Along with Albury. Can't miss Albury. Albury's not its Carnival Cups, but it has a major meeting on. But yeah, Parks always has been for 60 odd years the last meeting of the calendar in a calendar year. Great meeting, and of course we roll straight on the next day into Leeton, another great meeting, and they bring us in.
And Albury, as you said, not Carnival of Cups, but it'll be a massive crowd there to see the trots and the fireworks.
And the fireworks, and I've got to say, Sue and the team there have been very conscious of the bushfires that are about, and they do have, at this present time, all the permits to conduct those fireworks. Of course, if the Rural Fire Service brings in a category, catastrophic category on the weather conditions, well, of course that'll have to be panned. But still, they're doing their best to help the community of Albury, because that's the biggest event in Albury for almost the entire year.
How long's that been going for?
Oh, as long as I've been around, I think. But as I say, the council get behind it, and all their sponsors. They've got a strong meeting. Hasn't affected Leeton, of course, and Leeton has a really strong meeting as well.
Birthdays, there's some notable names in this list.
Well, I missed one a couple of weeks ago. Peter Carson, 80 years old. Peter used to be the king of the trotters. Yep. Him and Peter Sullivan, and Peter Sullivan's currently in Nepean Hospital recovering. He's been there for a little while, so I wish him all the best. But Peter Carson, at 80 years of age, he's doing really well. And then, of course, we've got, in a couple of weeks' time, we've got A.D. Turnbull's 90th birthday. A.D. was at the Shirley Turnbull Memorial. He's looking a little bit frail, but his wit's still about him. He was having a shot at me, no doubt, for all the things that he perceives I don't quite get right, or we don't get right here at Harness Racing New South Wales. And then there's Brian Hancock, 70 years old next week. How would you believe that? Golden Gloves, 70 years old. Most people can remember when he was just a boy.
What's he up to?
He's doing his best, ringing me occasionally. I pick up and we have a conversation. He rings other people as well, so I'm not the only most fortunate person in harness racing. But no, he's pottering along. Takes a really keen interest of how the sport's going. He's really concerned about our future. So Brian Hancock, 70 years of age. When he was a boy, him and his brother Dick, they went to South Australia with, I think it was Teeny or one of those mares all those years ago, and he's done marvellous over the years.
Tamworth last night, they had a night meeting. Another patron took in the crowd. That's 3 inside 24 hours.
Yeah, delayed our races. Maitland, Parkes and Tamworth. So it's the heat, I think.
Yep.
Maybe it is the smoke, but it is the heat that's causing these delays. But we have paramedics on course. They do a marvellous job. They do a great job for the participants, but they also help the patrons out.
And Tom Ison and Roy Roots Jr. stole the show on track. 4 winners.
They certainly did. Tom's a terrific young driver. Now he's teamed up with Roy. He will certainly get some runs on the board going forward. So well done.
Highlight of 2019?
Oh, I think the Canola Cup. It had everything. It had everything. One of the biggest things, like it had a full start. It had a fall at the full start. It had a protest. It had a dead heat. It had everything. But one of the things that I resonates every single year with the Canola Cup and what the club do out there. As I said earlier, we're in the midst of the worst drought that many people have ever experienced, the older people, yet the crowd came. Everyone was in a great mood. Dusty is what it was. Jody and Colin Greenhow, the whole team there, they uplift the spirits of all our participants, and I would say that was the highlight of the year. We've had some great racing, some big racing, but when we come down the grassroots, it's the Canola Cup that really does it.
Looking forward to 2020.
Certainly am, Mark.
And good punting for the rest of 2019, and many winners in 2020. We'll see you soon.